Hi, I'm O.J. Rowan of Elkton, Oregon, and I am a biochar enthusiast and also the owner of a Big Green Egg. So I'm interested in both biochar and lump charcoal. I started doing this about 5 years ago. My wife said, I need biochar. I had no idea what biochar was, but it sounded like it'd be fun to make because you get to play with fire. And naturally, you want information. First thing I did was go on the internet and see what I could find. You can find dozens and dozens of videos on making biochar and a few on charcoal. 3 I want to refer you to. One is Peter Hurst of New England Biochar. He does a real good job of showing how a retort system and method works. Secondly, John Rogers' Biochar for the Small Farm is an excellent job on another method. He has access to lots of wood chips and has a burn method showing you how to do that. Very good video. And thirdly, Kelpie Wilson's flame cap kilns, showing 3 different methods of a open burn. And these are all 3 really good videos, gives you an oversight, and there's, like I say, there's 3 good methods there. Now when you make biochar or lump charcoal, you're probably going to use one of these. Which one you're going to use is dependent upon how much char you want to make, what time of year it is, because a lot of places like here in Oregon right now, we have a burn ban. You couldn't do an open burn. If you're making lump charcoal, you're going to use different wood stock for your feedstock. You can use hardwood as opposed to softwoods. So there's a lot of things that kind of determine. What we want to do here is show you a method we've developed. It's a retort system, and it works really well for us. When I started making biochar and lump charcoal 5 years ago, and I had my barrel on top of the burn pile shifted a little bit, and my barrel rolled off, went down, and I had to chase it with a tractor and get it back before I started a forest fire. Something I learned, gee, you need something that's safe. So then I started working on something else. I kind of made a retort system with a water pressure tank, which so big around, so tall. And I put a bunch of wood chips in and a couple 5-gallon buckets as retorts in there. I'd fire it off. And I come across a new problem. I was able to make biochar or lump charcoal, but we came up with smoke. It would burn down 6 inches to a foot, burn clean, then smoke, and more smoke, and more smoke. Smoke to hide a battleship. And I didn't get a complete burn all the time. Sometimes my retort cans would be full of char, and sometimes they'd be halfway done. So another lesson learned, you need a clean burn. So my next plan was, well, gee whiz, I know 2 things cause smoke. Either you have green wood, or you're not getting air properly feeding through the system. I knew my wood was dry. I just needed more air. So I took my tank and drilled more holes in it. Still smoked, more holes. Finally, I had more holes than I had metal tank. So you're starting to influence the structure of your barrel. Another lesson learned, gee whiz, I gotta have something that's structurally sound, and I want something that's cheap too, and I need something out of materials that are easily accessible. So that's when I moved on and decided, gee, I need some help. So I got hold of my good buddy, Gregory Flick, and we got together, worked at it, and it does a job. It's a retort system, and we're gonna get into it and tell you about it. Okay, folks, here we are. We're gonna build our chimney retort. And let me give you a inventory on parts first and what it should cost you. Basically, less than $100. Obviously, you're going to need a chimney, and you need an adapter. Now notice these parts, I use these over 100 times, and they're still holding up. I got this junkyard, $3, got the adapter, $3. Then you're going to need some angle iron. About 4 pieces, 2 feet long. You don't have to go to a metal parts store to get them. You go to a junk store and get an old bed frame. Then you cut it up to whatever size you want. If you got a grinder, or if you're slow and don't have power, you can use a hacksaw. And your biggest expense are going to be bricks, unless you know somebody has a chimney that's falling down. Bricks are going to cost you at Home Depot 44 cents each. These are just common clay bricks. In our other kiln, we used Firebricks, which hold up a lot longer. One thing you don't want to use is bricks that have holes in them. Sometimes they make these cheapy bricks. Well, guess what? Your bricks are going to crack. Even the solid bricks are going to crack. And first I got really upset about that, but then I realized, wait a minute. When they crack, they usually crack in half. It just allows more air to get in there, so you get even cleaner burn. So it's not a bad thing. And this kiln, even with the red bricks, you're going to get easily 50 to 100 burns before maybe it starts to fall apart. And usually that's plenty for you. Okay, so you will need about 8 half bricks, and you're going to need about 160 full bricks. Half bricks, obviously, you just take a hammer and knock them in half. So that's your biggest expense there. You're probably going to run you about 75 bucks for the bricks, unless you can find somebody on Craigslist that's getting rid of their old chimney that's falling down, which a lot of people do. Okay, and that's all the parts you need: the angle iron, the chimney, the adapter. Now we're going to go ahead and build it. Notice we had a bucket down here. We're going to build a foundation around the bucket, solid foundation for the rest of our chimney. The perimeter is going to be 11 bricks. Square them up. We need a solid base. We're going to put bricks all the way in here to fill it in. You kind of interlock the bricks. Don't put any same brick over top of the other one if you can help it. Okay. And you'll notice I'm going to start using the half bricks. Okay, there's your second level. And notice we've got 4 gaps, one on each side. That's for 2 reasons. Obviously, to let air in. Remember, we're building a T-lud top lit updraft. So let air in, but also whenever you're burning it, you're going to have ash afterwards. You need to clean that out. Okay, on to level 3. We're going to maintain those same size holes. Okay, level 3, we're done. Now we're going to use our angle iron. Okay, sometimes your angle iron, you notice it's a little bit wider on one side than the other. Put the widest section up on top. This is going to give the bricks the most support. It's not that critical though. Okay, now we put level 4 on. And you're going to go right over top of the angle iron. Okay, that's level 4. That's the hardest part. Right now, we're just going to be going right over top of each other, interlocking them. Remember, the bricks don't have to be exactly in place where they're all perfectly lined up, because you want them to be open a little bit so you can get air through them. Okay, you can see how fast it was to build, but we're finished. We got our 12 layers above the foundation, and which gives us enough room to put a fire down below and enough room to put a bucket on top. Then we're gonna, when we fill up just about 3/4 of an inch to the top, because we've got to allow air to come up through here underneath our plate. You don't want to fill it all the way up here, or else you can't get a fire started. Put our stack on top, put some bricks to hold in place, and there you go. That's a finished product. That's a work of art.
So this is a top-lit updraft kiln. Airflow is going to come in through the bottom and through the little cracks in the brick, so we get good even heat. We want to roast that barrel or the retort all the way around. Then you come back tomorrow, pull the retort out, and have perfect biochar. So right now, OJ's filling up the kiln, about 1/4 full. Now we put the can or the retort in upside down. And what we do is we load it almost to the top. Just gonna put the chimney on there. And here's how we start the flame. We have a plastic bag. They catch on fire quite easily. And as they catch on fire, they melt down through the wood fuel, and so you get a good start. And attractive thing about this type of a chimney retort method is we don't have to get a hose and quench the biochar. So we can light this kiln off and walk away and go about our business. And like I said, you can come back tomorrow or you can come back in an hour, pull a barrel out and harvest high quality biochar.
We're out here now in our field testing grounds. We're going to tell you a little bit about fuel sources and cans. Obviously you can see here we've got wood chips, which I can get at the dump for free. And that's a large part if you're making char. A lot of stuff you're gonna have to get is free. John Rogers mentioned he gets wood chips from utility company that's clearing areas along their power lines and the like. He gets them there, I get them at the dump for free. It's largely people bring in pallets, scrap wood, trees, and they grind them all up and here's what you get. It also comes with quite a bit of dirt with it. I screen it out. You don't have to. I'm retired and got a lot of extra time. And then I found when I screen, because there's a bunch of dirt in there, it's got a lot of nutrients in it, so I ended up putting it as part of my compost. You can burn it perfectly dirty. I've had any problem. It doesn't make any difference. Seems to still burn clean in the chimney retort. You can also, in the chimney retort, use other fuels. I got old crummy wood on the property. It's kind of pithy. You can't use it in a fireplace because it burns too fast. And poof, you're gone in 10 minutes. So it's perfect for a fuel for making biochar. Kind of makes a difference in terms of your final product. What do you want? Charcoal, big lump charcoal for your barbecue, or if you want char for your garden to make biochar. Saves you a step. If you have lump charcoal as your final product and you want to use it in the garden, well, I tell you, you can drive over this about 3 or 4 times and it's still going to look the same. So you don't want an extra work process where you have to break that stuff down. So it's kind of nice if you got the product, finished product is your starting product. Okay, a little bit on cans here. That's one thing we didn't mention before was where are you going to get your cans? You know, everything now is 5-gallon plastic cans. If you notice, well, you won't notice, but I'll point it out to you. This can says varnish on it. There's only a number of products still come in tin cans today. Now, my son works at a cabinet shop and they get lots of varnish. So it's a good source for me to get cans. I get cans and I get them by the dozens from him. You need a source for cans because a can like this is going to last about 10 burns. Then it starts to warp a little bit and your lid's a little bit less than that, probably about 8 burns. The lids kind of warp on you and the clips get a little bit weakened with the continued burns too. So take that into consideration. Now we're going to go over to another retort I've used, over 100 burns out of it, still holding up terrific. It's a little different than their other clay brick one we used. Instead of clay brick, we've got Firebrick. This kiln has been fired up over 100 times. You can see the bricks haven't really cracked. Get a few of them to crack, but they're all holding up pretty good. And these are used bricks. Same thing. I got them off of Craigslist. I think for less than 50 bucks I got all of them. Typically your new Firebrick, the solid ones, they hold a range, temperature range, 1800 to 3000 degrees depending on what they're fired up to. They're a little bit larger brick. Instead of 11 across, we've got 9 across. A little bit tighter fit. But again, 100 burns, no problems. It's good for at least another 100 burns. What we're going to do now, a little different this time, instead of making char for biochar, we're going to make lump charcoal. And all we have in here is pieces of oak. And then after I split oak for firewood, these are leftover chunks. And again, put the lid on. And like Gregory was saying, we're going to put, basically all we need is 4 clips on there. We don't need it any tighter. The one thing you don't want when you have a retort in there, you don't want it airtight. You need to it's going to outgas, and you got gases that need to come out. If they don't come out, things are going to explode. So you don't have to worry. You could put all the clips on, it's still going to outgas because it's never going to be that tight, and especially if you got one with a hole in the top there. Anyway, some of you might be asking, hey, if we can get 1 can in here, gee, it seems to me you could fit another can in there. And you're right. I've had this up about another foot, and I put 2 cans, one on top of the other, again, upside down, both of them. And same thing, fill her up and fire her up. And yes, it'll do 2 cans, and you get a good product again. You think, gee, maybe I could build it up 6 feet high and put 4 or 5 cans in there. But it gets kind of tedious trying to fill it up and pull the cans out and that. So 1 can's real easy, 2's still pretty easy. You wouldn't want to go up 3. Okay, we've filled up about 1/3 full with wood chips. I'm going to integrate some of those other big chunks of wood now. Put a couple in there. Put some more chips in. The only reason I keep putting chips in, just to get a more balanced, even burn through the whole thing. And put a couple more in. A few more chips. Level it out. Then I'm going to put my soon-to-be lump charcoal. And again, we put it in upside down. Now, one little secret here, don't get this up too high. You get it up too high, you fill it up and you put your adapter plate on top of it. If you don't leave enough air in there, you'll sit there and light it, it'll go out, light it, it goes out. So you need a little room for the wood chips on the top to integrate with those on the side or on the bucket. So we'll just go ahead and keep filling this. Okay, here we are at our finished product here. It's been about 6 hours after our burn. We're going to go down here, reach down and get our 5-gallon bucket. Still upside down. It's cool now. After 6 hours, you'd hope so. Let's see if we can get the lid off here. Take our 4 clips we put. And there's our finished product. And you can see we've got shrinkage. It's like that old episode of Seinfeld. We got about 2/3 of what we started with volume-wise. A lot of the gases that were in there, they're gone now. Everything's vaporized and everything outgassed and it's gone. So that's what you're left with. If you want to find out if you cooked all the way through, because if you didn't do a whole job, you're going to still have some wood in there. What you do, just take a good spade with a sharp edge and you're going to give it a whack right down the middle. If it goes all the way down the middle, you know you're done all the way. Another thing you may want to do, just give it a couple whacks, knock some of this stuff down. Makes it a little bit more compressed. Now you're down to a little bit less than a half. That's just something you got to allow for. Here's our bucket. of lump charcoal, remember we started with, and we've lost about half the volume on that. But you got good lump charcoal ready to use in your green egg or whatever barbecue you have, and you're gonna have nice clean barbecue instead of flavored stuff. And remember, you can use, as well as hardwood, fruit wood too, apple, cherry, pear. Well, that's it, folks. That kind of concludes our demonstration here. Hope you picked up some knowledge on how to build your own chimney retort and put it to good use and good cooking.